The Fairfield County Fair. First held in Lancaster, Ohio in October of 1850, through the years, it's remained the place for young and old to celebrate community, agriculture, family, and fun. Check out the art, the history, the animals, the games, the shows, the rides, the food, the tradition. Discover why people come from all over the Midwest to experience the Fairfield County Fair year after year. Keep up with what's going on year-round at the fair with Tim Voris.
Hi, I'm Tim Voris, and thanks for tuning in today with At the Fair, a program that brings you special guests and information about Fairfield County, what's going on at the Fairfield County Fairgrounds and throughout the Agricultural Society. Today we got a very special guest with us, so we'd like to introduce to you Mr. Chuck Moellendick. Chuck, thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Tell us a little bit about Chuck.
I'm a fifth-generation dairy farmer. Originally, we came over from Germany in the 1870s. Our family did. My grandpa was the person that moved us here from West Virginia. We had a small dairy farm down there. He knew we couldn't expand because we're surrounded by factories. So in 1971, we moved up here to Fairfield County.
Okay, so you grew up in Fairfield County for pretty well most of your life.
Yeah, from 6 years old.
6 years old, great. Did you show at 6 years old, or you were probably
No,
a little bit
I started
older
showing
than
when I got into 4-H at 9. My son and daughter started younger. My son was 3 when he showed his first time at the fair, and my daughter was 5.
Okay, and that's Camden and your
Camden
daughter?
and Ava.
And Ava.
Yep.
So today, Camden is going to graduate soon.
Right,
He's
from high school.
From high school, senior at Fairfield Union, been showing for a long time. Share with us some stories about you. You were telling me a little bit earlier about being in the round cattle barn showing dairy with a good group of kids.
Yeah, we back when I started showing, the whole barn was filled. In 1974, the show was so big that we had to go across the track to the big tent that the beef cattle showed in for showmanship, because there's so many kids that showed dairy. And back then, we had over 130 dairy farms in Fairfield County.
Wow, wow. Today those numbers aren't quite where they're at.
No.
What do you think contributes to some of that?
A lot of it is the older generation, I don't think, really wanted to expand, and the amount of time you put in. You know, kids growing up, they might have seen they wanted to do something else, and
Sure.
If you do not want to expand, you're kind of limited on how much money you can make and to support however many families you're going to have on the farm.
Sure. Now, in that round cattle barn, you were telling me that you filled it up when you were showing.
Well, I had a section on the outside of the ring, and I was sandwiched in between Bill and Neil Diley, their jerseys, Lee Kohler from Mardor Farms, and on the other side of the ring, on the outside, was Jim King and King Embry Farms, and then you had people also on the inside. But for about 10 years or so, the whole barn was filled up pretty good.
Yeah, and what a wonderful barn. It's
Yeah.
very historic, and today it's a great place to go into at the Fairfield County Fair and just walk through and enjoy all the animals that are in there and everything. So 900 acres on your farm, Fairfield County,
Right.
and you're on the eastern part of Fairfield County, over
Right.
by Lake Road.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about what happens on the dairy farm.
We milk our cows twice a day. Back after I got out of college, we started milking 3 times a day. We stopped that after I had my second back surgery. And now my son's coming back, and we're getting ready to transition into being an organic dairy farm. And the reason we're doing that is because the pay price on the conventional side is a lot lower than the organic side, and the organic side is more intensive. You have to do certain things for your crops and your cows, but the pay price is twice as much.
Oh, that's good. So how you feed them and the way that you feed them is different than it would be normal.
Right, you're basically feeding crops that are not fertilized synthetically. You're not using crops that have had herbicides or pesticides sprayed on them, basically.
All right. And then we were talking earlier, you had mentioned that when you go organic, you look at different farmers, and a farmer in New Zealand had a robotic system.
Right. He had 700 cows, and he built his dairy in the middle of the grazing paddocks. So the cows, wherever they walk out of that barn, they're going into, they don't have far to walk to eat. They're right into, the pasture.
Okay. So they kind of get rewarded by going back in and getting milk,
Right.
because they get a fresh.
The cow is always looking for the next best feed, and so when they come in and they get milked, they get put into a new paddock, and if they come in too early, then it sends them back out to an older one.
Okay. And I think it's true. A farmer's life is from the morning the sun comes up until the sun goes down, because when I called Mr. Moellendick to ask him if he would like to share a few things on At the Fair program, he was out working in the barn on a bobcat, and I said, Chuck, you got a few minutes to talk to me, because I wanted to just come in and see a little bit about what's going on the dairy side in Fairfield County and what's happening. And that's a big change, because I know when you go to the store today, you can go and get your regular 2% milk or your vitamin D milk, and then if you walk over, you have an organic section. So you're looking at filling that organic section up with milk one day.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Little bit about being a board member. I know you're on several boards throughout Ohio. Tell us a little bit about the Ohio Dairy, or
I'm on 3 different boards in Ohio. One, and I'm on all the boards because of our dairy co-op, Dairy Farmers of America. Our local Mid-East area board, there are 7 regions for Dairy Farmers of America, and Mid-East area is Ohio, Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Michigan, Indiana, and Kentucky. And I am on our local board, which we call the council.
Okay.
And then I was elected to the corporate board, which is in Kansas City, Missouri. Our dairy co-op is the 4th largest in the world.
wow.
Dairy company.
And do they kind of help coordinate the other dairy farmers throughout the nation or the country?
Well, we have a little over 20% of the milk produced in the country, and we market, basically the co-op markets the milk for the dairy farmer so that he does not have to go negotiate with the processor. My grandfather, when he was milking back, and he got started back in the 30s, you had to go barter with the processor, and there would be days he didn't want your milk, and he'd pick up your neighbor, wouldn't pick you up. And the co-op was formed back then, and he was part of that in the Ohio Valley, forming co-ops, and that basically markets all the milk you produce.
Okay, great. A lot of the dairy farmers today, do you guys regularly get together to kind of process, to see how the process is going, regular meetings, or?
We have in our co-op, we have elected delegates and representatives, and so twice a year we will have what we call a leadership conference in Columbus, Ohio, for the Mid-East area.
Okay.
And we also have a national annual meeting in March every year. It's the 3rd week in March in Kansas City, and we have about 1,400 people show up for that.
Wow, that's a great turnout for something like that. Tell us a little bit about the Mad Cows. I know you've been an avid basketball player. Back in the day, we played a little basketball together, and you've taken that to a different level with coaching. And I was looking at your bio the other day, and it had the Mad Cows team on it. So tell us a little bit about that.
My daughter's AAU team, they wanted to come up with a logo and a name that would kind of scare some of the city kids. And whenever you go, a lot of these kids, they don't know agriculture, and the mad cow disease the girls decided they wanted the Mad Cows logo, so I found the angriest cow I could find, and that was the logo on the shorts, and we had Mad Cows on their shirts. They had a lot of fun with it. They had people taking pictures of them every place we went.
And the herd was another good one that I seen.
That was my son's AAU team.
Your son's AAU team, so that's pretty good. And you've always done a good job of coaching, Chuck, and these kids always enjoy you and appreciate. And I've known, the kids come to you And even during school, have came in and milked and farmed early in the mornings, and then they would go on to school and different things like that. So I know you've been a mentor for a lot of kids, and we appreciate that and what you've taught a lot of people in Fairfield Union School District in that area. Anything you'd like to share with us that would help a young person today? If a young person's interested in showing a dairy cow or getting involved in that, what could they do, or what do you suggest?
Dairy cows are probably the cheapest, besides a rabbit. Most inexpensive project you could have. We basically would loan out a heifer calf, and they could keep it at their place and feed it. We've had several people do that, and we've also had several kids that do not have a place to keep the animal, so we would keep it, and they'd come out and work with it at our place. And the only thing they'd have to pay for is the halter, and,
Okay.
whatever they would wear to show in.
Okay. They need to contact the Fairfield County OSU Extension Office and maybe touch base with them and let them know they're interested in, and then they can reach out to you and go from there.
Right.
So, good deal. Well, thanks for coming in today. We appreciate your time, and I appreciate what you do for the Fairfield County Agricultural Society. Mr. Moellendick brings into the fair some small animals, and if you stop into the Fairfield County Fair this year, it's October the 8th through the 14th, in our small animals area, you'll see some small animals that Mr. Moellendick brought in, some dairy animals to be able to pet with and enjoy some of those things. And go over to the Round Barn, spend a few minutes, talk to Mr. Moellendick and some of the family that will be over there enjoying the Fairfield County Fair. And it's a great time, and we've got really blue ribbon people like Mr. Moellendick that does a great job in supporting Fairfield County. Thanks again for stopping in today. We appreciate it. I'd like to thank my friends at Fairfield Christian Church, J.T. Burcham, and the students for putting this program together. Nom and Signs for the great signs that they do, and Friends of the Fair. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you before too long at the fair.